Welcome back to Ever Beyond. I hope you're all suitably refreshed and relieved. We have two guests and possibly more people coming. I don't know. I was expecting someone.
Two psychics and a time traveler and a Ray reader on the same show. Come on, William Stillings.
Yeah, we don't know where it's where he may be on Mars. He may be off planet just now. We never know. These things happen to these people. Anyway, so here we are. Welcome to Ever Beyond. We are actually kind of halfway through a sort of semi-marathon broadcast. Andrew and I started speaking spontaneously a couple of hours ago, so it should already be in the archives, or will very soon be in the archives of the first hour. So you can kind of recapitulate on what that was all about, because that was quite an expansive, more than galactic, more than fifth dimension, seventh dimensional descriptions of what was going on. Our seventh dimensional realities, our experiences as being on a prison planet, a quarantine planet, and things that were going on that have been stopped from going on, and how things are going to kind of correct themselves. So starting from that viewpoint, Andrew, I'd like to welcome Andrew Bartzis and Olivia Valencia, and we're all going to have a jolly galactic time.
Absolutely.
So, where do you want to go?
Let's start with healing. Everybody can relate to healing. Healing comes when you express love to someone, or love is expressed back to you. Healing affects us on many, many, many levels. What comes to us, pre-event, post-event, is always going to be related around healings. Whereas the tribes, the bloodlines, the good guys, the bad guys, depolarize and return to a neutral perspective and begin to heal the many, many, many thousands and millions of years of unpleasant things that happened so the children could grow up. Olivia, what do you see for healing from people? Where does it start? Does it start with us finding knowledge? Does it find with us co-creating love? What's the Olivia Valencia view of healing the rifts between people?
There's different aspects of it, but I would say the number one would be to heal yourself first. And to do that, it's always good to write down your feelings, your emotions. And after you do that, write down the pros and the cons of it. And then write down the names, a list of names of those that have scarred you. And then carry that, like on a little book or something, or a piece of paper. Carry it around with you, and actually express it within yourself and with nature to help you heal this pain you're going through, and to understand why this person did this to you, or you did this to this other person, and is it why you felt it in this life, and is it from another life too? Can you show me? Or if you can't show me, can you help me understand it? It will reveal it to you. It could be right there. It could be hours, days, maybe even months. And when it does, then you will know, and you will pick up that piece of paper and look at that name on that list and say, I'm going to just make up a name right now, John Doe. I'm ready to forgive you, and I release you in the name of love. And you will feel this big ball of energy just come out of you, and it'll bring you to tears of joy. And until you finish that list, for some of the names on that list, it'll be easy, and it'll just be written off, off your list really quickly. And I share this because that was one of my schoolings here, and I did this in my early 30s. I wrote my list, and I did all that. And once I finished finished it. There was still 2 on my list that I thought I finished, and then years later, I kind of ran into them, and a little piece was still there, and I went, gosh, I swear I thought I released it. And I go, you know what? Maybe that little bit that I needed to release, I had to see you again. And we hugged, and it was tears of joy. And after that, I was released from everything.
Free to co-create.
Yes, and then
your abilities.
Yes, and then I had, after I did that, then I had to go and heal myself from those incarnations. And for a long time, these incarnations, I thought it was an aspect of myself. And in the end, I realized it was the aspect of the DNA that I incarnated of my ancestors that I was healing for them. And once I realized that, big old, like the halo of the sky opened up and said, you graduated on this level. And I just went, what? It was such a beautiful moment. And I go, I understand now.
She healed her bloodline.
Yeah.
All of the people that were spiritually contracted to her bloodline all felt that moment of healing too. Past, present, and future. That's what comes in all of the bloodlines here. But it requires people to have the faith in themselves in the healing process to do exactly what Olivia said, or to find another method in which you co-create this loving spirit.
Yes. So I was just sharing you what I have done, but it doesn't have to be that way. It could be whatever you feel resonates to you, that you feel that your journey needs to follow, then go for it. And when all that opened up, I saw every one of their faces like circling around me, of these ancestors.
JayP, have you had any experiences like that?
No.
What about after your motorcycle accident?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think the accident itself, interestingly, you mentioned that is exactly, it was this weekend. I celebrate the 25th of January as instead of my birthday, I consider that as my death day. And on the 13th of February, when I woke up again 3 weeks later, that's my rebirth day. So I'm sort of weird like that. Anyway, that was the time when it really, that totally opened my heart up. And from a past life regression that I did again exactly last year with Rebecca. It brought me to an understanding of some of the things that went on there, some of the symbolic things that went on, about a past life experience that I'd had that was the result of my impatience and indulgence, let's say, that caused me to scupper myself for this lifetime at least. But that definitely, doing that healing thing, and that was just like the Quantum Leap TV program. I love that show, and it was very much like that kind of experience. That I was going back and doing something differently with my 21st century consciousness to a second century experience, and that certainly tidied things up. And I have recently spoken to one of the people in question, and their life has improved in the period of time since that. So okay, I haven't. You win.
See, everyone does. Everyone. You look at it with the right eyes.
Yeah.
Mine was when I learned Reiki. I'd already been a psychic for many years, but when I decided to be a hands-on healer, I went back and healed myself at an injured young child. And as I did that, I began to connect to the spiritual entities that were around me at that childhood age, and I was able to transfer their essence into my present age and connect to my DNA lineage and heal my DNA lineage, similar to Olivia's, but in a different sense, because I had been co-creating lifetimes in this family lineage for so long. It's how I pre-planned my lifetime thousands of years ahead of time, so that I could be here now, and the time lock of spiritual abilities is here, ready, in co-creating in the present, doing shows like this.
So, here's the thing. Here we are. Here we are. Having planned thousands of lifetimes ago, aside, depending on which way you're looking at time, that we would be here now doing this. Having done that, is there some way? I mean, how do we then? Where do we go from here? Sort of thing.
This generation on this planet has to figure itself out and accept itself on a universal level, no longer as a nation-based level. And that's the challenge of this generation. And in this generation, you have babies and you have old people, all with a set of learned dogmas. And until we learn to ratchet down our polarity of positive, negative, begin to return to some central semblance of neutral observation, you're going to have a very tough time for this generation to break out of the programming. Truthers are that first wave. The truth radio stations are that first wave of incredible energy that's speaking a truth that gets through the layer of programming and bullshit and allows people to go, I need to step back and look at this with a more neutral perception so I can go, yes, I resonate with that subject matter, or I do not. And then learn from it and co-create with others with it so that it doesn't snuff itself out.
So, Olivia, how's your... What would you say if you'd planned this for thousands of years and thousands of lifetimes?
Planted.
Planned.
Planned. I'm not that old of a seed.
She hasn't lived that many lifetimes here. She lived just enough so she could break the incarnation rules, yet here be what she's intended to be from the beginning, one that can change the program, and then she's going to get out and go.
That's pretty much it. I haven't, like I said, that what I thought was incarnations before, and at the end I found out that I actually was healing the bloodlines of the incarnation. It wasn't mine. And so I did live here a few times, but very, very, actually I really only incarnated twice here, and the other times that I've been here, I actually came to live here. I was like what they call now the walk-ins, and I walked here during the Atlantean times, and I lived here for 10 years when we were doing the experimentation, and yes, I was one of the ones working on that, but it was for a good thing, what we were doing, that something went bad, and I don't want to get into detail at this time. Maybe another time, but
we kind of covered that in the first 2 hours. So you don't. You
did?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
We gave it a good brush job. So.
Yeah. So I do remember what happened. I do remember what it looked like back then. And I do know that, I was just going to say a little bit, we did have holographic computers then. We had the high technology back then, and it was all taken away. And all it took was one laser beam to do it, to remove it.
All my programs. All those programs that I've written. I have something to say about
to the tubes.
Software, right? I have retired several times from. It's like this business won't give me up. I can't give the business up. I've retired from software. When in the 1980s, I was a computer programmer. And I had this realization. Actually, it was not long after I had the bike crash that what am I doing this for? Every time I do something, the computer becomes obsolete. And so I thought, right, it's not this for a game of soldiers. I'm off, and I started, left the thing and started a band and did music, and eventually ended up in Glastonbury, got married, found myself having to go back into this business, and then finding the same thing, and continually banging my head against the same wall. You can't write something and it stays like that and it keeps working. You have to keep fixing it. And I do what I can to make whatever I do as permanent as possible. But everything changes in software really, really quickly. As soon as you finish spending the time writing a program, the next version of the operating system is out and it doesn't work anymore, and you have to rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it. Why am I ranting about this? It's something that really got me, and it was why I left the whole thing in the first place, and why I continually say I really don't like computers and I really don't like working with them, but they're like necessary tools. But hopefully we'll get to a point when things stabilize out. Any ideas? Or is it going to get taken away from us again, Olivia? In the same way?
Oh, God, I wish you would have been asking me the question. Do I have to say it?
Yeah.
Mimi. No.
Mimi.
All right. Anyway, somebody help me. Okay, they're telling me how to explain this. You've always heard of the term in threes.
Yes.
One will go on, one group will go on to achieve for that knowledge and go for the higher technology. Another group will stay as they are. And then there's a middle group will just go on to the next level of schooling because they don't really care whether they're going to stay for the technology or if they're going to stay the same. They just want to go on to the next level of their schooling because they want to co-create and have their own universes. And when each time one starts a new universe, you have to start from scratch. And then the hierarchies and source will evaluate your progress of the universes that you create. Does that help a little?
All right. A universe? Do you mean a galaxy, or
a universe? Universes and galaxies, but in a universe, you will have a certain amount of sources coming in, and each one of those sources in that universe, galaxy will take on a universe, little portions of it.
Micro, macro, micro.
Yes.
Say that again, Andrew?
Micro, macro, macro, micro.
Yeah.
The universe is the macro, the galaxy is the micro. Inside Earth, there's a hollow Earth. There's another Earth inside there. On Earth, there's a surface Earth, and then the third part is the astral part of Earth. So
yes.
3 layers of our planet.
Yeah, 3s.
All the planets are like that, and they're essentially ships to be built and co-created with, so they can live and co-create with a sun or a central sun, so that when spirits begin incarnating here, they can go through the evolutionary process and learning process of what this universe provides for them from Prime Creator, because Prime Creator has separated its energy into all these sub-people system spirits so they can learn from the whole. Some of these get to be 7th, 8th, and 9th dimensional entities, which I described being the kids on the Coke run, the Coke binge, they just got way out of control, and they had an opportunity to come and do their own galaxy. Like I had said, Earth was the nursery, and they just really screwed it up bad. It was just train wreck over and over and over again. So now it's returning to a state where we can go and use Earth as the seed planet, the seed vault, to enlighten and empower and bring co-creation to thousands of other worlds, if the people on here should choose to take up that challenge of the next level of the game, the next level of the program that Prime Creator is offering to those who graduate. Those that don't graduate can stay here, still in a quarantine scenario while they evolve and boil the stew some more, so that more people can rise to the surface and go out to the galaxy.
So it's like the cells of our skin that work their way up through the surface and eventually come off and float freely through the atmosphere. Yeah. So I'm just trying to put a quick publicity about this because I haven't publicised the show at all today. It's fascinating. I love having the spontaneous shows, really, because they're often very, very special. So today's special, super special, out of the box, beyond. And my girlfriend's saying, you don't like computers. You're joking. But true, yes, I don't. Not really. They're a tool, and I'm good at using them, that's the thing. Right, okay. So, yeah, I'm just looking at the chat room here, and I'm seeing if there's been any questions. A lot of people talking about kidney stones and Vogelkrat crystals and spectres and techno-geeks. I told a bunch of this is from Jack, the crystal man. I told a bunch of techno-geeks in the chat room that I found computers an inferior technology because every few years it becomes completely obsolete. Yeah, exactly. Interesting, very interesting. Where do we go, Andrew?
I got a question for Olivia. Can you talk about the other planets in our solar system? Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, Pluto. Is there anything in there that's allowed in your little outline of, Olivia talking points?
They're telling me don't.
Okay.
Sorry.
I understand why, and I will respect those rules, and I won't reveal them at this point in time. As I said, Olivia has a certain set of rules. I have a certain set of rules. My rules don't align with her rules. That means I can co-create with them. It just may not be the right time for that on that scale. All right, let's talk about Hollow Earth, the Earth inside the Earth.
Yes, it's big. We did have representation from there on Wolf Spirit Radio, and it's in the archives under Dave's show, I think Wolf Spirit Radio. Actually, he's a guy. He lives in Pahrump, where Dave lives in Nevada, and his name is Billy Fay Woodard. And Dale, in fact, is quite connected with this because he's been designing from his pattern of headbands, which is made of copper and crystals and silver, and we've discussed this before on the show. So that's Dale After Dark. We'll be doing some recordings with him this week. But it's essentially where we're at is. He spoke of the Hollow Earth and of the people and who live there, and eventually he started channeling his father, who lives in the Hollow Earth, and his father kind of inhabits his body like an avatar, and becomes a very, very different personality. And he was sitting in Dave's living room, and or wherever he did his radio show, and when Billy Fay was talking, the dogs were behaving as normal. But when Zora came in, all the animals gathered around him. And started sitting on him and jumping and really cuddling up close to him. There was a definite change in vibration that the dogs all felt. So have you communicated with Zora, either of you?
No.
Specifically Zora, yes, after a show that I did with him, he telepathically communicated with me from a Hollow Earth perspective, and kind of showed the familiar relations that we have and how many of the bloodlines have familial relations to the people that are in Hollow Earth. And they're there waiting, ultimately waiting for us up here to accept the light of change so that they can go out into the galaxy and be co-creating spirits and not be stuck here waiting for the children to grow up.
So, there's Dale, yeah, LemurianCrystalHeadbands.com. How are they going to relate with us once we accept the fact that A, they exist, and B, that they can walk amongst us? Will they have to become three-dimensional like us as well? Will they? Because they're like massive and ethereal like.
It'll be a mutual. Go ahead, Olivia.
I'm sorry. I actually can see them. You have to raise your vibration. You have to put yourself in a different level of perspective, and then you will meet in the middle. Because I actually, when I just came from a jog, I went to go say goodbye to some of them, and they appeared, they came out of trees and talked to me and told me that they've already gone to the next level and they've left that area. They just came in because I went over there in a location which I cannot say. And I was pretty surprised that some of them actually let me see them physically, not just in the picture. But that was a nice visual to look at, because lately a lot they've been showing themselves to me without me using a camera. And I'm grateful for that, and they're telling me it's because my frequency has changed. It's not of them changing, it was me changing. And I said I understand that, because I feel myself changing so much that I don't even feel like I'm on the earth half the time.
It's because you're not.
But yet I am here. And they also told me, because they're talking to me right now, when you say hollow earth, to them, they're telling me the earth is not hollow. There are many of us down here. If it was hollow, it'd be empty. But that's how they speak and how they interpret. and then to me that makes a good point, because I would take it that way too. But they say it is up to us, and once we're ready, that they will have their arms open and ready to unite.
And many of the first ones will be the ones that feel the true love of the spirit waiting on the other side. They're twin flame. And those will be the most creative people that say, I'm ready to love that person that I know is only in my dreams. And they'll begin to vibrate at a higher level and meet them halfway, and they'll be able to express their story just enough before they vibrate into that other realm to light the fire in the hearts of others, saying, we can exchange love between us. It is the basic incarnation rule here. It may be screwed up in the definition, but the final rule is once you love in true format, you are co-creating beings again. And once you return to co-creating beings, you are back into the evolutionary levels of Great Spirit's ladder and ready to graduate to the next level. You asked about JP. You asked about your ex-wife earlier, and if she's listening, you two were great teachers to each other. The future of the two of you is what is the next layer of true love here. Is it between the two of you because you've had an offspring child, or is it between your soul group in which you can communicate in a true love level that may not be a physical relationship, where you unify your soul group, and because you had such a solid relationship and expansion before, when the soul group comes together, it'll be the perfect semblance of order as people begin to work magic and love work.
Well, that's interesting because her soul group is the same soul group as every girlfriend, almost every girlfriend I've had since, and so it does seem to be a connection there. And that's the sixth ray soul group, and I'm part of the second ray soul group, which and essentially, I better say it. I got to say it. I mean, the sixth ray soul group has been the one that's been abusive. That's put all the abuse out on the planet, and is the intense, religious, stroke, addictive kind of devotional soul group. And essentially, they kind of, rather than love, it's a kind of devouring thing, and that's really got to stop because nobody likes to be eaten, and glasses of water don't like to be drunk always, and if we talk about that, it does represent, in terms of soul groups and reconciliation, it does represent a kind of, what's the word, a relenting on their part, a forgiveness, a letting go, a releasing of a tight grasp, because it's all about fear, and it's something that has created a wrong relationship between the two groups, and it's part of domination. So basically, when we move from domination to dominion, that's one way that Frank puts it, where we have our own sovereignty and free will and all those good things, we'll have moved away, and that is part of the issue that has to go on between the sixth ray and the second ray soul group. The sixth ray soul group has to let go, stop thinking it's the boss, and allow the truth and flow and wisdom from the other soul group, without always having to check its credentials and make sure that it's right according to this book or that book, or according to this authority or that authority, and just feel it with the heart that what we're saying is true, and go by it and stop trying to discredit it. Okay. Sorry about that.
that was good, and in its own way, it expresses so much about you. Something else